And I think it will ask everybody for your consent to be recorded. So please say yes. I don't know what will happen if you say no. You might get booted. um, but welcome everybody, and thank you all so much for coming to the summer reading brainstorm session. My name is Amelia. I am the lifelong learning librarian, and I'm really glad that you all are here today with us to discuss summer reading. So just as a quick overview of our agenda for today, we're going to do a quick check-in with everybody. You can feel free to do this in the chat box or in if you want to unmute yourself, but just saying, how are things going? What are you planning for summer reading real quick? And what are you excited about? So if you want to start preparing that, you can feel free to do that. We'll talk a little bit about some resources, the MSL Community Events Calendar, the Summer Reading Kit from the Museum of the Rockies, as well as some new resources / talking about Read Squared. And then we'll open it up for open discussion. This really is a time for all of us to meet and chat together, and for you to bring up anything you'd like to discuss with your peers. So feel free to bring anything up. I will be monitoring the chat box, and we can make sure to bring that up together. So as I mentioned, just a quick summer reading check-in. What are you doing to start off your summer reading program? It doesn't have to be a kickoff or anything, just like general things that you've been planning, and then what are you excited about for summer reading? So let me look at the chat box. And Mallory from Polson said, we're doing well. I think Read Squared feels like it'll be a great tool. We know our numbers will be down, but we are anxious to see what the participation will be like. I like the badges and unlocking of games. Pat from Ecolacus said, we are open and doing social distancing, working on getting our reading program going. Rhea from Stillwater, we are starting our program next week. Super nervous about participation this year, but we are going all out. We have live events in 4 towns every week for 6 weeks. Wow, we were pre-recording all programs as well for a virtual program, and later today we are stuffing bags for grab-and-go craft kits to set up also in 4 towns. Lots of work. Missing being at home with my favorite coworker, baby Olivia, is 5 months now. That's so crazy. But jumping right into the deep end with summer reading, hoping for the best. That's great to hear, Rhea. And Diane says, summer aid at Fallon County Library here. Stacy says, she's from Fallon County. We are wide open and ready with Read Squared. Diane said she uploaded reading lists through Excel for the Fallon County Library books for pre-K children, teen and adults. I followed the directions and it was actually quite easy. That's really great to hear. Michelle asked, is anyone worried about copyright and reading books online? And Michelle, if you actually, I'll try and remember to send you an email. If you want to send me an email too, there's actually a really great guide online of all the different publishing houses and the different temporary licenses that they've issued about reading books online. So it really depends on the publisher. Some of them say you can record it and post it, but you have to get rid of it by August 31st or something. Some of them say you can only do live things. Some others are more flexible. So I will try and remember to send that to you. And if I don't remember, please follow up with me. And if anyone else has ideas on that, please feel free to contribute. Fawn from Three Forks said, we're doing an event next month. Mallory said, I am following the Imagine Your Story Summer Reading Program 2020 Facebook group. Great ideas being shared. That's a really good point, Mallory. Thanks for bringing that up. I know it says Karen, but it's actually Bailey from Ennis. We started our summer reading last week. We did story time outside with proper social distancing, and we sent home crafts. Cindy says, in Bozeman, we are doing a week-long Choose Your Adventure story walk around library grounds and giving away take and make bags with activities and summer reading info. Still working on Read Squared details. We plan to do mostly outreach around our free summer lunch programs in town. And Michelle says, I have looked at the guide. Okay. And so if you have any other specific questions, please feel free to bring those up. Carly said, we've started and it's gone surprisingly well, which is great to hear. We've done story time in the park and families bring blankets and practice social distancing. We had 32 last week and 24 this week, and the kids get a make and take bag when they leave. Already have participants on Read Squared, so I'm pleased, and a story walk displayed in the city park. Brittany says, our summer reading program starts next Tuesday and will run for 6 weeks. No in-person, but we are providing items for tasks and projects that can be completed as individuals, as a family. So board game tournament, story walk, dioramas, reading goals, suggest a reading list, bingo, virtual story time. Wow, you guys are doing so much. We are not doing any prizes or tracking, but patrons will self-report and we will offer up bragging rights by posting about patrons with permission on our story social media. And also glory eternal. Cindy says, if you say thank you to the publishing company, it usually works. I read earlier that all videos must come down by June 30th. And then Janet said, we've started Monday sending out packets of games, snack ideas, crafts with some of the supplies needed, and reading and writing challenges for prizes. Michelle said, most of what I looked at for publishers said they could not be posted publicly and you have to invite people to watch them. And I'll take a look again. I'm not surprised if things have changed in the past few weeks as well, you know, with the way that the pandemic has also been changing. But Michelle, I'll also try and find out that there's a list going around of authors who have specifically said that they allow their books to be read publicly. So I'll try and find that list. And then there's also, what's it called? Public domain books. I don't know if people have used as much of that, but anything that's in the public domain, you know for sure is not flouting any sort of copyright law. And if anyone else has something to contribute on copyright and online story times, please do put that into the chat. Pam says, we're handing out activity packets to families with the online option of Read Squared, Missoula Online Books and Babies and Storytime. And Weston said, starting on Monday, barring issues, taking books to daycare and summer and helping out with the children's department summer activities. Pam said that they have online videos to explain crafts. And Christine said, Plains is using Imagine Your Story materials along with some scratch game boards. Getting a great display of new books. We will do gatherings outside. Ooh, excuse me. We are using small gift certificates from around town to help support local businesses. That's a really great idea, Christine. Also, this might be a dumb question, but what's a scratch game board? I don't know what that is. Trudy said, starting next week with sign up and only 3 live programs for the summer, and reading through the summer, read with social distance requirements, take home activities in between, and utilizing Read Squared. Oh, it's just, Christine said made from scratch. Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if it was like some sort of branded program or thing. Thanks for explaining that. Wow, that was a lot just then. Lots of really, really great ideas. Really great to hear how you all are adjusting and all the creative ways that you are working around the pandemic and still reaching your patrons. So thank you all so much for sharing. A couple of things I wanted to remind you all. If you have virtual events that you're doing this summer and you don't mind sharing it with a wider audience, we do have the MSL Community Events Calendar. And let me actually real quick grab that and put the link for that into the chat box. This is just any library that would like to share a virtual event. You can submit it into this virtual calendar, and it's open for anyone to view and share. So here is the public view calendar. So you can put that on your website, you can share it on social media, and anyone can click on events to find out information and attend. And then here is how you submit an event. And anything that gets submitted, I will go through and approve it and move it to the public-facing calendar. But you're welcome to put anything on here, children's programming, adult programming, anything else, anything that you don't mind people from a wider audience in Montana attending. So just a reminder that that is there, and we would love for people to contribute. And I have shared this calendar with various statewide organizations across Montana, and they were really enthusiastic about it and have shared it with their contact list. So I'll send out reminders throughout the summer about submitting events to this calendar, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions about this. I also wanted to give a reminder that the Museum of the Rockies Summer Reading Kit, we've finally connected and figured out the logistics for that. So people who had originally signed up for a kit, I've gotten in contact with people via email and just to check and see if you still want a kit. I know that plans might have changed due to COVID. So if you do still want your kit, please do respond to my email, and I will make sure to pass that information along. The kits are currently in Bozeman and are being assembled, and we are hoping to create the shipping labels for them next week. So if you could let me know ahead of time if your library wants your kit or not, then I can make sure that we send one to you. If you don't want your kit, let me know and I can try and give it to another library that might want it. But also, this is a reminder that a lot of the kit is, I put that it's virtual. It's not virtual. A lot of the kit doesn't actually require special materials, so you can just use the curriculum and still do activities. So even if you didn't sign up for a summer reading kit, you can still look at the activity guidebook, and you should still be able to do a lot of the activities. So I'm going to drop that link into the chat box to the Museum of the Rockies website, and you can download the PDF of the activity guide and do it with your patrons. Michelle had asked, those of you that are doing in-person story times for summer, what are your plans for how to do that? So I know that a couple people had mentioned doing story times, so if you'd like to put stuff into the chat, and especially how you're making sure people are staying socially distanced, that would be really great to share. So I put the link to the activity guide in the chat box. If you have any questions about the summer reading kit, please do reach out to me and we can discuss further. And then I just wanted to bring your attention to a few more resources. There is a 2020 summer reading discussion thread in the MSL community forum, and I have just been posting new resources that have been coming through on listservs, on email chains, et cetera, for summer reading resources. So if you want, you can actually follow this thread, and you'll get an email notification anytime a new comment or a new resource is posted. There's information about activities, performers, et cetera, and you're welcome to contribute as well if you have anything that you want to share too. But this is a great thread to keep an eye on if you want. I also wanted to share the Read Squared discussion thread. And this is for anyone who is using Read Squared and has questions. You can type your question into here. And this is sort of just a discussion space for those of us who are using it. We do have spaces left in Read Squared. We have, I think, about 12 spaces left. So if you're interested in using it, you don't have to use it just for summer reading either. You can use it for 1,000 books before kindergarten. You can create an entirely new reading program. I know a lot of people use it for a winter reading program or a fall reading program. So there's a lot of flexibility. And if you're interested in using it more, feel free to reach out to me. Let's see, in response to your question, Michelle, about in-person story times for the summer, Cindy from Bozeman said we are having patrons register to keep numbers down, and they have to bring a blanket to sit on and keep socially distanced from others. So we'll see how that works. Rhea said, we are planning on social distancing as much as possible. Our county has only had 2 cases. We have everyone sanitize as they come in, and masks are recommended but not required. Trudy said, we are utilizing the commons area in the school because it is very large and marking places on the floor. I have also scheduled a kids yoga class as one because you have to spread apart. And Rhea just shared a Google Doc and said that this document has great resources for publisher requirements, author permissions, and at-home activities. So Rhea, if you actually want to put that into the summer reading discussion thread, that would be super great. Pam says, I have one copy each of Early Literacy Storytimes at Your Library by Saroj Goding and Books in Motion, connecting preschoolers with books through art and games to give away. So if anyone would like that, please contact Pam Carlton and she will arrange to get those books to you. Bailey at Ennis says, we are holding story time outside, placing frisbees, hula hoops, spread on the lawn, marking places for kids to sit. Families are encouraged to bring a blanket. We invested in a sound system so everyone can hear the story. We played music and danced. Last week it seemed to work pretty well with the 20 kids that showed up. So awesome, that's really great to hear. Pam says we won't open until our new library is ready. That'll be on August 20th. So these options for story time are great information for later. Awesome. Michelle, I hope that answers your question. Feel free to put any other questions into the chat box if you want more specifics. Val said, from Chinook, we are doing story walks at the school during the lunch pickup time. We are doing outside story times and story times at the daycares. Jody said, will those of you leading the in-person story times wear masks? That's a great question. And I also want to go over another new resource. Here are some anti-racism reading lists and resources, another discussion thread. And these are things that I've just collected that have again come through state library listservs, other library organization resources, especially with all of the protests and Black Lives Matter and the unrest and stuff that's going on. These are really, really great resources to look at if you'd like to learn more and share with your community. In there. And again, anyone is welcome to contribute to these discussion threads. The more that we share, the more that we know. And then lastly, I feel like I've talked about this a lot, but I want to just mention it again because it's a really cool resource. BiblioBoard has given us access for the summer to their comics and graphic novel repository. So it's called Montana Comics at BiblioBoard. And it's an online website, and any Montanan has free online instantaneous access to about 3,000 graphic novels and comics. So there's a lot of genres for all different age groups, all different topics, and you can read them online for free, or you can also download the app and read it on your phone, which is actually a really great way to read comics. It's very well suited to reading on your phone. So if you have people who are interested in graphic novels at your library, this is a great thing for them to explore. And again, they have a lot of different genres and a lot of things to choose from. So feel free to explore it yourself. This discussion thread has information about the repository itself, but then there's also a flyer and a logo that you can use to help spread the word. There's a template that you can alter if you would like. There is a question from Cindy. I'm hoping that if we use microphones and stand far back from kids and families, we can read without a mask. What do you all think? Carly said, I am not wearing a mask when doing story time. We are more than an acceptable distance away, as well as being outside in the sun. I did have to yell against the wind, so a megaphone or a microphone might be needed. Pam said, I think that would work, Cindy. I would just have a mask at the ready. Bailey said, I did not wear a mask last week. We were outside and spread out. I felt comfortable and no one seemed bothered. I was wearing a microphone. And Bailey, was it like a lapel microphone or one of those lavalier mics, I think is what they're called? Or was it like a stand microphone? Carly said, I do have a mask and gloves for handing out the make and take bags. And then Michelle said, what about seeing pictures in the books? And Bailey said it was a headset microphone. So cool. And Michelle, that's a great question about pictures in the books. And maybe in this case, that kind of affects what books you choose. Maybe you choose the ones that are more conducive to activity. And Cindy says that this is a great summer to try storytelling. So maybe you just take the general storyline from the book and you add in rhymes or you add in actions and gestures for people to follow around. Carly said, I walked around and encouraged participation, asking questions while I was walking. Songs went better than the books have. Bailey said, I tried to choose larger books with big pictures. I did walk around a bit to make sure everyone could see. Jody said, I'd love suggestions for microphones and sound systems. Sorry, reading ahead. Lavaliers are awesome, but very expensive, which is a really good point. Cindy said you can start with Three Little Pigs and other simple classic tales for storytelling if you want to get into that. So Bailey, if you'd want to put into the chat what microphone you use and what your setup is, that would actually be a really great thing to share. And as Carly said, she said that songs seem to go better than the books have. And so maybe you don't need a book at the story time. Maybe you can just have it be, this would be a great time to explore the Mother Goose on the Loose format, where you're moving from different rhymes to different stories to different finger plays to making music together. And if people want more information about Mother Goose on the Loose, feel free to reach out to me and I'm more than happy to explain that and talk about the format. And it does sort of free you up from the book and you don't have to worry so much about people seeing the pictures. And it's more focused on the songs and the rhymes and things that are more easily done outside in a larger group of people. Any questions about any of these new resources? Any questions about Read Squared or anything that was mentioned in the chat as well? Oh, and Val mentioned in Chinook that Kelsey is doing the Mother Goose on the Loose program and using felt pieces. And I have talked with Kelsey and it seems like it's worked really well for her. So. Christine, are you in Plains? And Read Squared is the online reading tracking. Nikki in Plains. Oh, okay. Sorry, you're listed as Christine. And Nikki, I'll actually follow up with you. And I have talked with Christine a little bit about Read Squared. And actually, Nikki, if you want to send me an email, it's just akim@mt.gov and I can talk with you about what Read Squared is and how you can use it for summer reading. Christina's on vacation. I'm glad that she's on vacation. This is a reminder that people should go on vacation. There's a lot happening right now and you all deserve a break. So don't feel guilty about going on vacation. I'm taking vacation tomorrow. So, okay. And just moving on, now is just a time for open discussion. Any questions that you have about summer reading, any difficulties that you might have had with planning something if you're really stuck. This is a great group of people to bring it up to. So feel free to put in the chat box or unmute yourself and we can all talk together. And then Bailey said for the microphone box says mini wireless microphone. And I can ask Karen where she bought it from and get back to you. It sits on my head comfortably and it's wireless so I can move around and it works with our Bose outdoor speaker. Well, that's cool. That's a very nifty setup. I guess a question that I've seen on some of the other library listservs is performers. Has anyone booked a performer for the summer or is thinking about booking a performer? Are you doing it virtually? Maybe you can share with another library since if it is virtual. That's a question that I've seen come up. if you're looking for make and take craft ideas, in the CSLP discussion thread that I linked earlier, there is a document from the Iowa State Library, which has like 4 pages of make and take craft ideas. So I would recommend looking at that. And it's already all designed for social distancing, and there's lots of really good ideas there. Rhea said that we partnered with Zoo Montana for our finale, which will be outdoors at our local park. That's great. Cindy said we are having Marky and her puppets and Mindy Dillard come this summer, and both have agreed to do a register-only outdoor program with a microphone. So that's also another way to address it. And Cindy, Jody was asking, I'm not familiar with Mindy Dillard. What is her program? So if you don't mind explaining a little bit, that would be great.
I'll unmute myself. She calls herself Princess Fearless. She lives in Salt Lake. This will be her 3rd summer up in Montana. So if she's been anywhere else, you guys chime in too. But she plays about 4 instruments, very talented. She does covers of kids' songs. She also writes some of her own, and she does a lot about the theme. Very high energy, and one of those children's performers that as an adult you can stand to be in the audience as well. So she's very fun. Yeah, so we had her as a, like, she called and asked if she could come do it, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I never know about these things. So I asked her to just come and do a story time once, and I don't think I even paid her. I just said if she'd like to volunteer so I could see what she's like, and she's really excellent. So
awesome. And I put her website, I hope that's her website, I think it's her website, into the chat box if you'd like to look at more. Cindy, do you mind sharing what dates Mindy is going to be in town?
Mindy is coming here the end of July.
End of July.
We had a lot of people cancel, so now her schedule sort of opened up. So we had a specific date, and then she just said, really, I can come any of those days. And I think I'm scheduling her for July 30th in the afternoon. Okay. And then you probably all know Marky Schultz has huge puppets that you can see from far away. And she's always mic'd herself. We just have done her inside. But this year she agreed to go ahead and do it outside. So visually, you don't have to be up close to see her stuff. So we're hoping that will work too. I don't know.
That's good to know.
We're paying Mindy a couple $100, I think. So I think she's open to negotiation. I think we pay her between $300 and $400.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if anyone else is interested, and it sounds like Mindy's going to be here for sure in late July, that might be a great time to ask her to come if you're interested in that. Does anyone have program ideas that they're really excited about? I remember in some of our last discussions, people were talking about escape rooms, virtual escape rooms, which seemed really cool. And a lot of you are already doing the virtual story times and stuff. And so if you have anything to share there about, at this point, I think people have been doing it for a couple of months. So if there's anything that you've learned or any tips and tricks, feel free to share those as well. And also there's a reminder, this is a reminder that I posted this as well in the summer reading discussion thread, but CSLP has hired Carmen Agradidi, who is she's a storyteller. I forget if she's a librarian or not, but she's a really, really great, engaging storyteller. And every Friday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, I think it's 12 p.m. Eastern Time, Carmen will be reading a story online through Facebook Live. And so that's something that you can have people tune into. And Michelle, you wouldn't have to worry about copyright or anything like that, because I think CSLP is handling all of that. So just a reminder that you can always jump onto that story time and share it with your families and children. And they're apparently really great. So. And then Bailey said that they decided to skip on performers and put that money into the sound system and prizes. So thanks for sharing that, Bailey. Any difficulties, things that you are still struggling with for summer reading? Any questions you'd like to bring up to the group? Cindy said, I bet we'll know more about challenges after it all begins. That is true. Vaughn said, we are struggling with parents that don't want to participate in keeping track of reading logs, so we are going to do activities. Yeah. And Vaughn, I forget, is your library using Read Squared or not? If you are using Read Squared, they have, I think, a challenges or missions section, so you can set different missions for people to complete. But I have seen other libraries where they've just made like a little, I don't know, kind of like a little Candyland looking like game board thing, and there's a different activity in each box, and so people can just take one and that gives them like 20 different activities and they check off as they're going along the path. So I mean, you could format that however you wanted, but if you have people who'd prefer to do something online, Read Squared has a way of keeping track of that. But then you can also just do good old-fashioned paper if you want, and give people suggestions that way. Cindy said, I get the keeping track thing. Parents are probably exhausted and trying to keep up with their child's schoolwork. If kids are reading, that's all that really counts. And Fawn said, we haven't yet. I watched a video and need to figure out how to do that. I'm tech challenged. And feel free to let me know if you would like more assistance or if you would like to chat more about it. I think everyone has realized that there's a learning curve with Read Squared, so you're not alone in that. And you know, it just takes a little bit of time to get used to it. But feel free to let me know if you are interested, and I can definitely sit down with you and we can puzzle things out together. Out of curiosity, how many libraries are actually open now to the public? Are most of the people on here open to the public again? Rhea said that we are open regular hours. Carly in Harlem said yes. Trudy said they just opened on Monday. Cindy said we're not opening until June 30th or later in Bozeman. Brittany said we're open modified hours. Three Forks is open with restrictions. Open but shorter hours from Denise. Val said we are open. Bailey said we're open with reduced hours for extra cleaning time. Michelle in West Yellowstone said we're open. Excuse me. Pam said even without the new library, our county health would keep us closed. Fallon said that they're open for regular hours with limited computer usage. Bozeman will offer very limited hours and services. Janet said we are open with regular hours and 30-minute limits. And Mallory said we've been open since June 1st with limited hours and access requiring masks as per our board. Jody said Red Lodge is open for curbside pickup and computer appointments only. We will proceed to our next step. Patrons can come in for any reason soon, but the doors will still be locked. Patrons will ring a doorbell for entry. Okay. Yeah, I still, the state library has just released a survey to sort of ask about reopening and library status. So I know that those responses have been coming in. I haven't yet looked at that map. But if you are curious, let me actually just go and find that right now. If you are curious as to what the status of other libraries are, you can take a look at the ArcGIS map, which is taking all that information and broadcasting it onto a map so you can see what exactly the hours are. Let me see if I can find that map and send it to you all. If my internet will work. Nikki in Plains said Plains is just open, no restrictions. Has anyone's goals for summer reading changed as they've been planning in these unique circumstances? We had a discussion about this at the very beginning of the pandemic, when we weren't really quite sure what anything was going to look like. So just curious to see what people are really trying to focus on with your summer reading program. And it could be something, it doesn't have to be something big. Maybe it's just you want a space for families and kids to come, or maybe you really want to focus on outreach. Maybe you really want to work on virtual programming, or, I'd just be curious to see what you would really like to work on. Carly said, yes, I'm not looking for numbers so much as quality time and some normalcy for the kids. And I think that's a really, really good point. I will be sending out a survey after summer reading to collect stats, but it is absolutely acceptable for you to be like, this year, that just wasn't something that was a priority, and that is totally fine. And I think we all know that numbers don't really tell the whole story to begin with. It's something that we all track because it's oftentimes the easiest thing for us to track. But, I think those quality interactions are probably even more important at this time, and providing those connections in your community. So, I would love to have examples of that and to have people share that with me at the end of the summer, and to not worry so much about the stats of how many people came or anything like that. I did find the map, so I will share that with you of library services, service status. Nikki in Plains said we wanted to make it comfortable and flexible. Gift certificates can be mailed if families don't feel comfortable coming in. We do curbside for anyone who wants it. We want to be available. And let's see, any other comments or questions, or even, it sounds like make and take bags and crafting things are a common thing that people are doing. So if you want to share specific crafts that you've done that have been a hit or you're planning to do, feel free to do that. And as Cindy said, maybe more questions might come up as we all start the summer reading programs. And if that's the case, I would really like to encourage people to post in the summer reading discussion thread. I'm going to continue to post resources in there. And I think that can be a really good discussion space for if there's a question you're really struggling with, or also if you want to share a great story. We could all use good news in these times. So I would also really encourage you to share anything great that's happened in your library with summer reading and to put it in that thread. Oh, thanks, Pam. Thanks for coming, and good luck with putting your activity packet together. Well, if there aren't any other comments, oh, Val said, we are using up crafts from prior years. We have lots of odd numbers crafts, so this is a good opportunity to use those up. Some are from back when I did summer reading, which was 20 years ago. Wow. Yay, cleaning stuff up. That's great. And there are a couple of craft ideas in the summer reading kit from the Museum of the Rockies if you're looking for an easy make and take craft to do. So feel free to take a look at that as well if you need more craft ideas. Any other questions or comments? Trudy said, we have been using old crafts to hand out in the Holds pickup bags, and we'll do just general crafts pertaining to the theme like wands, unicorn masks, etc. That's awesome. Has anyone had any success with having people send in pictures of their crafts or something? Maybe creating like a craft bag hashtag or something? I don't know. I'm not a social media person, so maybe that's a bad hashtag, but something that people could search through and see what people have been making. Cindy says, we are trying to figure this out as well, how to let kids share. And Trudy said, hoping to do that this summer. Yeah, the one that I've seen most commonly is people either submitting a picture and either the library puts that on their blog or on their social media, or people do have a hashtag and people tag their picture as the hashtag. Just thinking off the top of my head, you could maybe have some sort of like people dropping off their crafts at the library and having some sort of display space where you take pictures of all the finished crafts together and share that on your social media. Especially if it's something like crafting animals, you could put them in funny situations or something like that. Val said we've suggested photos, but nothing so far. Fawn said, I've been trying to do a Lego challenge and it's been slow. Nikki in Plain said, how's everyone getting the crafts to the kids? Have a pickup once a week? Val said, we're handing our crafts during our story walks. Janet said that our packets are available each Monday. I remember someone saying that they made boxes available at the grocery store and people could just pick them up there. Fawn asked, how do you do a story walk? And yeah, if anyone has anything to contribute. A story walk is usually, from what I've seen, either in a park or along some sort of set path. You take pages of a picture book and you post a page at different intervals along the path. So these pages, you have to destroy the book as you're doing this, but people typically laminate the page and put it on a sign post of some sort. Sometimes people add supplementary things where they're like, oh, at this station, take a selfie with something, or maybe jump up and down 5 times or something like that. Bailey and Ennis says, we are encouraging kids to bring their crafts back by giving them a coupon for a free ice cream cone at Sugar High in town. We want to liven up the library with their art. That's a great way to incentivize it. And then Val just shared a PDF about Story Walk kits. So Fawn, if you want to take a look at that, I think there will be a lot of really good information in there for you. Cindy said, we have done one a few years ago, but this year we have had someone create a choose your adventure story that will wind them around the library and into the park until they get to our summer reading table. Ooh, that's clever. Val said you do have to purchase 2 books for each story walk. So that's a good thing to remember. Oh, and Nikki, there is, if you go up into the chat a little bit, Val had shared a link with Story Walk kit resources. And again, a Story Walk is just, you take a book, you take out the individual pages, and you laminate each page and post it along a path outside. So it encourages families and kids to read the book and also take a walk outside and experience the story. Any other program ideas that you all want to share or questions? I'll maybe wait 20 more seconds. Michelle said, thank you, good information and ideas. This is the first summer this library has not had the reading program through the pre-K program. Nothing definitive planned yet. Here today to get ideas. And Michelle, I'll try and remember to send you the previous summer reading brainstorms, the webinar recordings, because there were some also really good ideas that came in through there. So I'll try and remember to send that to you. Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and stop the recording now. Feel